Okay, this is how you install your IBasement Pro. So I already have one installed on our dual sump system, but we're gonna break down, every step, just so you guys can see how it's put in. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up the basin, just so you can see where the switch is actually mounted, how it's mounted, and then just go over some details on how it should be attached to the discharge line. Okay, as you can see, this is already attached to a fast sump system. So when you're looking at the actual flow, so the sensor flow, you want to make sure that the bottom of the switch is right around the base. So like not where the actual holes that the impeller sucks the water in through, but this little ridge right on top. All right, so say you want about at least an inch from the bottom of this to the bottom of the pump. All right, so that allows the pump, like it basically makes it so the pump doesn't suck air. And you do have some adjustment to this. You can actually, install it a little bit higher, but your stock install should be right around right here. So look at space on the grate sump, that's about 1.5 inches. But if we go off the bottom of the pump, so about 1 inch from the bottom of the actual pump. Okay. And now you always want to make sure you mount it with a clamp. So do not use a zip tie on this. And you want to mount it on the pipe as well, because there's plenty of space for everything to work properly. And same thing, plenty of space for the high level sensors to be able to turn on. Okay. Now, if you're doing two of these side by side, you could technically mount them at the same height. And then in the application, you can change where the turn on and shut off is. So you can essentially put these at the same height and then have one just turn on slightly lower than the other one or slightly higher, or you can stagger them slightly. So you can put this one right here and then the next one a little bit up. So you have some adjustability on that. Okay. Okay, now also make sure that you're zip tying the actual flow. So I usually put a zip tie on the pump and then I put 2 on the wires, just so if this ever gets pulled, it's not pulling at this wire for the sensor. All right. Now, as you go up the pipe, you should be zip tying it as well. So I zip tie them together, so the cords are together, and then I'll zip tie them separate. When they're zip tied together, I'll use a separate zip tie to zip tie it to the actual pipe. All right, use plenty of them. Now on the controller, you want to make sure that you mount this. You can either do it 2 ways. One, you can use 2 zip ties, which I did it on this one, but in the box, it actually does come with a clamp. So a clamp on the top, zip tie on the bottom, or vice versa, clamp on the bottom, zip tie on the top. It'll accept both a zip tie and a clamp. Now, when you get this box, these little brackets, you actually have to mount to the box. So there's screws that are included to add this to this box. So you have a choice to either put it on the discharge line or be able to use the 4 holes and mount it on the wall. So it's kind of personal preference at that point. All right. Now, if you look, I put a zip tie here. Don't put one too close to where it does this. You don't want a lot of pressure on this. Just, over time, you don't want it to malfunction. So just put a zip tie here and just make sure it's nice and tight, just so these things don't get pulled out. Okay, now inside of this little square right here is a little box that pops out. So it's a little grommet that pops out, and initially it's a little hard to open it. I'm trying to do this with one hand, but once you pop it open, 1 second, let me actually use 2 hands for this. Okay, now once you pop this open, so this little grommet pops open, there's a little cord for a 9-volt. All right, and this is also where you'd attach your battery cable. So if you have a battery backup, instead of using the 9-volt battery, you attach the battery cable to this. It clicks on here, and then it converts it to 2 eyelets, so you can actually monitor the battery. All right, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna stick a 9-volt battery in here for now, and then you're gonna attach it to this wire right here, and then push it back in. So I'm gonna do this right now. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so now I put my 9-volt in nice and snug, attach my cord, and then I'm just gonna slide it in like this, so it sits nice and tight. Okay, so push it in all the way, and a 9-volt's installed. Okay, now once the 9 volts in, you're going to plug this into the wall. So it's a piggyback plug. So IBasement plug is right here, and then your pump plugs in right behind that, and that gets plugged in to the homeowner's outlet. Okay. Now, once this unit's now powered up from the initial install, if there's no update that's pending, it'll just turn on and you'll start seeing a green flashing light. All right. And then also a blue flashing light once you connect to Wi-Fi. If you start seeing like a multicolored light and it making like a very like a beep that sounds almost like a little song, that means that it's doing an over-the-air update. So it'll only take about 5 minutes. Once everything's updated, it'll go back to just flashing green as long as there's power to it. And then if there's power and Wi-Fi, it'll show green and actual blue flashing. So see the next portion of the video for the actual installation to get it onto the customer's Wi-Fi. But that's pretty much it. Very, very simple. So make sure you use a lot of zip ties so it's nice and secure. Make sure that you're putting in the switch to where you're about an inch from the bottom of the pump. All right, if you're doing 1, if you're doing 2, you can put them at the same height and then in the app adjust to turn on or stagger them slightly. So if the primer is here, the backup will be like right here. Okay, so you can stagger them. And make sure you use a clamp on the pipe, no zip ties, and that's it. Now once this is ready to go and powered up, now it's time to connect it to the customer's Wi-Fi. Okay, so this is your IBasement interface. You're going to do is hit configure and connect to Wi-Fi. Then you're going to tap the first one and put connect to IBasement Pro by Bluetooth. It's going to find the unit. Click on that. Let it load. Okay, you're connected. Now you're going to hit set pump priority. This is what will assign the pump either as the primary or the backup. So for this one, we're doing primary. Hit next once you get success. Then now hit number 3 where it says calibrate pump set points. This is what's going to calibrate it to any pump that you attach it to. So it'll do an auto calibration. It's going to turn on the pump. It's going to calculate the current usage. And then it's going to set the set points to where they need to be. This is how the IBasement knows if the pump motor is healthy or not. Now, once that's done, you're going to click number 4, connect IBasement to Wi-Fi. It's going to scan for any available Wi-Fi network. You're going to pick the one that you want to connect to. You're going to enter the password. This is where most mistakes happen, is the password. Either the customer doesn't give you the right password or you type it in incorrectly. So once you enter the password in, it's going to configure the IBasement Pro for that Wi-Fi. Okay, boom, now you're connected. Now save this unit's info. So what you do is you put your customer number and the last name. If you don't use the customer number, you can use the last name or the property address. So as you see here, I put my name and then the customer number. So you're going to hit save. Now you're connected to Wi-Fi and it's complete. So you're going to click home. It's going to connect to the unit. And now you're going to see this interface that has the pump console, the alert console, and then the water level console. All right, now you can change the test frequency from every hour to week, every day. So we leave it once a week. And now once that's done, you're going to go over to manage alerts. So this is where you're going to actually enter in the customer's info as well as the email address that you want the alert to go to. So just make sure this is the customer's email that it's going to, and make sure you type it out correctly. And then the secondary email is where you're going to put your catch-all email if you have one. So for us, Pioneer, we have a catch-all email. So then all the emails go to one spot, as well as the customer. Now, if you don't use that, you can just put a secondary email there for maybe a secondary email address that the customer might have. All right. Now, if you do make a mistake and you don't type it in correctly, it will tell you that the emails do not match. So we want to really make sure that, they're getting the right email address. So I go ahead and type it in again. And then I make sure that my email is spelled correctly. And then I hit confirm, and bam. So now it's going to ask you for your customer ID. If you don't use one, you can just put not used, or like 0001 for like the first unit you put in, and then second. So however you want to put that in, you're going to enter your name, the customer's name, the address, the city, and then state and zip code for that customer. Well, for that property address. Now you're going to pick what alerts you want to go off. So I check off every single one of them. If you connected the pump as a backup, you'll also have a backup alert option as well. You want to click the weekly test results. Boom. Hit OK. And now your unit is connected and the alerts are set. Okay. Now, there's some other settings on this unit. So you can go to settings. This is where you can see your MAC address, your IP, your battery voltage as well. So you want to be able to screenshot this page and save it in your database of your install, because you're going to need that MAC address if you ever need to be able to log back in. Now you can also go to hints. So if you hit the little arrows on the helpful hints, like how to start over, basically how to reset the unit, you can go to unit functions and it tells you what the LEDs mean, the button, what the button does, what the low trip slider means, what the high trip slider means, what the silence button means. Basically, this is your complete info on the entire system. So any questions you might have, or you're not familiar with a certain portion of it, if you go over to here and then just expand each one of those menus, you will get your answer that you're looking for. So we can't fit it all on one screen. So if you want to see all of them, just basically minimize the ones you're not using, and then open up the ones that you are trying to see. So if you're only looking down at what the alerts is, then you can just expand the alerts page. All right, so now we're going to go back to our main console. All right. And now this is just some information on the unit. So what is the IBasement Pro? Okay. What did the alerts mean on the alert console? Where do I get service? So for this one, it says Pioneer, but it will say your company name. Now, maintenance, what you should be doing for maintenance at least once a year, just a little reminder. And then where can they get equipment? So it'll be either from Great Products, Sun Pump Geeks, or your location. Okay, now we're going to run a test, and you're going to see that little box turn red that the pump's on. You're going to see the power current that's getting pulled from the pump. So it'll just show that the pump's working. And then if you notice, you can see a pump cycles and pump hours, so it'll keep track of that as well while it's operating. If you want to silence the alarm, you can hit that little silence button. And then if you ever get disconnected from the unit, you can hit that little refresh button on the bottom right, and it'll refresh the page and reconnect to the unit. Now, when I make changes to the set points, there's a password that gets logged in, and it's 5579, and that it gives you the ability to change the set points on the switch. So you can change where the pump turns on and shuts off. So you can make a short cycle, long cycle, or you can leave it as stock. Now, to change anything, even on the pump console, to change those settings, you also have to use that same code to unlock the board. Once it's set, it's going to relock itself after 5 minutes, and now you're good to go. So now your iBasement Pro is complete. Now you want to test your system once everything's done, just to make sure everything's working properly. So you hit the test button, you see the little pump icon turn red, and the little blue bar on the pump console raise up. So it'll run through a cycle. If there's any issues, it will alert you. Now, what we're going to do is disconnect from this iBasement and then connect to a remote unit that you've already configured with this iPad before. So if you're a technician and you've configured other ones in the past, it'll actually save them here so you can go back to them quickly. So we're going to pick one of the ones that we went back to. It's going to connect, and now you can remotely log in from wherever you're at. So there's 2 ways to do this. That's the first way. Now we're going to show the second way. You're going to go back and disconnect from the unit. Then you're going to go up to the menu and hit connect to a remote unit. This is where you need that MAC address. So the MAC address that you screenshotted from the install, or if you have it saved in your database for a customer that you've done in the past, this is where you enter it in. You click connect, and now you can connect in remotely. So there's 2 different ways to connect in remotely. One on a unit that you've already connected, and one with a MAC address. The unit will now connect to the remote unit you're trying to log into. You should see the pump console, and now you can do anything you want as far as testing, changing the set points, changing the alerts. Anything that you want to change or test on the remote unit is available to you. So now that you've gone through installing the unit, installing it on Wi-Fi, and connecting to remote units, your iBasement installation is now complete. For more information, please visit www.ibasementpro.com.